Alright, what is up guys? Losermaniac here, and welcome back to another video. Yes, new background, sorry if it's echoey, I don't know what to do about it. So, today I thought I'd talk about more work stories, because today, or yesterday, was the last day I had to work, because I have a seasonal job, and I worked at a theme park, so I got some stories to tell. Now, I don't remember, what stories I told last time, so if I, repeat stories, I'm sorry. I don't like watching my videos. I used to, and then I was just like, I got better. There's better videos to watch. So yeah. Yeah. I used to work in a theme park. I say used to because, like I mentioned a couple seconds ago, I worked at a theme park, which means that usually theme parks are seasonal jobs. I think. This one was because theme park. People usually go to theme parks during the summer. This is like a holiday. Which this upcoming October is Halloween. So that means that they're gonna have something prepared for Halloween. But I don't know if I'm gonna be there. I want to because I really like this job. But hey, if they don't want me there, that's fine. But along the way, I got some stories to tell. There were some funny ones. Then there are some that are just really weird. I'm not gonna go over the weird ones. Also, I say I have a lot more, but I should have written down some of the best ones I had, um, so I could tell them to people. But unfortunately, some of the ones I have are just they're these ones that I remember at the top of my head are unforgettable. Whenever I tell people that I had a job, I would tell them these ones. So this one happened, I think, a couple of days after I made my video talking about no the so with the next week of me making my first video talking about work stories, the following week, something ridiculous happened. So I worked in the games section, kind of fit the context a bit. Also, sorry if you hear venting going on or wind blowing. It's the laptop. So a week or so after I uploaded that video, I went to work, and I work in like I mentioned before, I work at the game section, which is where you play all these games and you get prizes depending on your skill or whatnot. Now let me just clarify up top: none of the games here are rigged. None of them are. If you lose, that's on you. It's not on us to help you decide. It's not on us to make the games rigged. We're just here to, because we have, you guys may not know this unless you've worked at a theme park, but this theme park has a storage full of toys. So they aren't rigged because we need to sell those toys. The boss man bought them, which means that we obviously have to sell them. And that stinking Mark Rober video kind of ruined the fun of these games, because some of them are skill based, and one of the games that I know of is luck based. But I'm not going to talk about those games. So there was this one couple, who wanted to play. Now, the games booth I was working had basketball. I don't know what it is with people and basketball, but they get really, really cocky when it comes to playing basketball, especially if they're in gym shorts or just shorts as a whole. If you're in gym shorts, I guarantee, and you see basketball, they are going to be cocky because that is who they are. And yeah, so these people were wearing this dude was wearing basketball shorts and wanted to play basketball. Now, there's a thing that when it comes to this, which is that with the basketballs, there's a garage door up top, because whenever we close down, we need garage doors to close down, so that way people aren't sneaking in and stealing toys for themselves, and it also lets people know that, hey, we're closed. So every morning, whenever I would run games, I would have to open the garage doors to let people know, hey, we're open. If you want to play these games, go ahead. So that's what happened. So yeah, and the downside is that there's a garage door that kind of interferes with your shot. So I would let people know, like, if they're really nice and they're not being cocky or really mean, I would be like, alright, just let you know, there's a garage door up here. It does nothing, but it could affect your shot in some way, so do be careful. And I tell you this because if you miss, and if you hit the garage door and you miss, now I am no longer responsible. If you hit that garage door, it is on you because you have been reminded. I'm not allowed to say that. I wasn't told to stop, but I was just told that I wasn't told to say that, but I felt the need to just because I've had, like I mentioned before with basketball, there's a lot of like cocky or mean people who think that they're the shit and they're gonna make it, and then they hit that garage door and they get all pissed off because they didn't know, when in actuality that's on you, because you should have known that there's a damn garage door up there, but you didn't know because you're cocky and you didn't pay attention to the obvious fact. I say that because I just feel the need to mention that. It's pretty funny. There was this couple who came in, or who wanted to play, and then this dude played paid with a $20 bill, and he paid for 3 throws, which is $10. I don't know if you guys know this. Theme park math is ridiculous. One of the games for there offers 5 throws for $5 or 12 throws for $10. I don't know why they didn't do 6 throws for $5 or 10 throws for $10, but I don't know. It would make sense to have 10 throws for $10, because if you're doing 5 for $5, then you should do 10 for $10. But I don't make the pricings here. Plus, I guess kind of gives people more bang for their buck, I guess. But if you're paying more, you might as well have more. If you're paying double the amount, you might as well have the double amount. But I don't make the rules. Though I guess double to 5 is 25. Anyways, that's not the point. So yeah, the pricing for basketball is 1 throw for 5 and 10 throws, and 3 throws for 10. And there's no 2 shots or there's no half shots because we aren't a ball. Because we aren't a bar. We don't do half shots, alright? So I ring up their 20, and I said that they were paying with the 20. Sometimes I was supposed to give them 10 back, since they didn't, since they paid with a 10 and they paid for the $10 or since they paid with the 20 and paid for the $10 game, I had to give them 10 back. Now, I made a stupid mistake that has happened before with me, that I just closed it and didn't give him the money. I said, "Sir, I'm sorry." Or I walked over to him. I said, "So I made a stupid mistake. I am going. You paid for a $10 game with a 20, and I forgot to grab you $10 so that way I can give it back to you. What I can do is I will ring up a fake game." And then give you your $10 back. So how it was gonna work was he would play his 3, or I was gonna go ring up a fake game that someone had paid for, just so that way I can have access to the cash register, and then I will then be able to give him his $10 back, which at this point was 2 5s. People don't like paying for $10 games with $10 bills. I don't know why. But whatever. So I was going to do that. So he made his 3 throws. And he was nice. He was polite. He wasn't cocky. So I warned him about the garage door. And he missed the 3 shots. So I was like, alright, let me go ring up a fake game. And then I can give you $10 back. And he's like, no, let's just do another 3. So that way. So now we are clear. Alright. That $20 is now paid up. So he shoots the shot. And he makes all 3 shots. Now, he gets a large prize, and I was doing what I was told, which is that he can have a large prize, or he can have a medium and small prize, but he only gets 1. And it clearly says on the thing, we reserve the right to limit 1 prize per play. So that means that per one play, he only gets one prize. And so he just goes off. He's like, or he just goes, can I have 3 tails? We sell tails, these rainbow fuzzy tails. They're awesome looking, and they're quite fabulous. I don't have one. I wish I had one, but I don't, unfortunately. So with that came, I told him like you can't do that. You only get one prize, and he goes, that's bullshit. Like I'm kind of using some of my language, but with what he said to me, I highly doubt that. It wouldn't be surprising that he said something like this. But he goes, man, that's stupid. Like I should be able to get 3 prizes since I made 3 shots for a smaller prize. It's like, no, you can't do that. And so he gets all pissed off. He's like, "Let me get a manager." I'm like, "We don't have a manager right now. I can go get a supervisor." There's like so many supervisors here at a theme park that I was just like, "Let me go grab one." And so he goes, "All right, I'll wait here." And he starts going off saying how it's rigged, it's stupid, you're wasting your money and all that. Now, I wasn't the only one working games that day, so I didn't want to I didn't want someone else managing games, especially now that we have an angry person there. I didn't want this girl, I'll call Susan, even though she's a minor. Um, so I tell Susan like, hey, can you grab a supervisor? I need there is a person being aggressive, and I explained the situation. I forgot to give him his 10 when I should have. There's my mistake. Now here's what's happening. Blah 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 blah. And then so I tell Susan like, can you go grab a manager? And she goes, okay, or a supervisor. And she goes, yeah, I can go grab one. So she goes, and again, I could have gone to supervisor, but I would have to tell Susan, who's a minor, which I didn't realize back then, like she's under 18. I didn't notice, I didn't know until later. But I told Susan, like, can you, I didn't want to have to tell her, like, hey, I need to go grab a supervisor. There's an angry customer here. Do you mind watching my station while I go grab one? Because I didn't want her to, like, get yelled at by this guy, and then have to take the shit on something that was my fault, or that I was involved with. So I just told her, like, can you just grab a supervisor and go? And she goes, yeah, sure. I told her that I would run her station. She just needs to go and get one. So she goes and she gets one. But before she went and grabbed one. I was talking with Susan, as I was explaining the situation to her, the dude comes over here and he's like, dude, get me a manager. I'm like, I'm getting you a manager. And Susan looks over and she just goes, is everything okay? And this was his exact words. This isn't me adding to anything. This is just legit what he said. He said, I need a manager to deal with this dumbass bitch over here. I'm like, look, I thought this whole situation was funny, all right? Because I could have done all of this could have been avoided if he would have just let me grab his $10 bill, rung up a fake game, let me ring up a fake game, and I could give him his $10 back. Even though he paid for 20, even though he paid with the 20, he didn't ask for his the $10 that I owed him back. So I gave him the $10. So Susan goes and leaves to go get a supervisor. And so with that, some dude wanted to play one of Susan's games, but since she's gone, I had to ring them up. So I rung them up. I gave them the receipts, that way they can play it. Because if you're ringing up someone who wants to play another game who wants to play a game at another booth, you would have to like give them the receipts. That way the person knows like what games they want to play and how much it is, and how much they paid for. So yeah. So I give him the receipt and I'm like, wait here, I got a situation to fix. So I I gave the dude that was being angry 2 5s because, again, no $10 bills. People fucking stupid. So I gave him 2 5s and I left it at that. And he left. Perfectly fine. He didn't ask for a toy. I'm pretty sure he snuck one because he didn't ask for one. So I am led to believe that maybe he might have snuck one, but I didn't see it because I was too busy trying to ring up someone for another game, one of Susan's games. And then yeah. So I went on my. So the supervisor came over as the dude was leaving. And I explained the situation to one of the supervisors, and she goes, "Hey, don't worry about it. It's fine. It happens." And I did explain that it was my fault because I didn't give him the 10 first because I was being an idiot. And she goes, "Don't worry about it. At least you admitted your mistakes. It's no big deal as long as no one was physical, racist, or whatever. Just mainly physical because, I mean, I'm not racist, but he could have been because I just tried to keep calm. But I just kept my calm the whole time, legit serious. Even though I wanted to, and then so the supervisor goes, "How do you feel?" I'm like, "That was kind of funny." It was legit funny. It was funny because he's calling me a dumbass bitch, yet he doesn't understand that I'm doing my job, but he's assuming that I'm doing it wrong. So he's the one acting like a dumbass because he's telling me how to do my job when I know how to do my job, when he doesn't know how my job works and all that. And the fact that I did show him the sign that says we reserve the right to limit prizes, we reserve the right to limit one prize per play. He looks at me and he goes, "Per play." Because he thought that like since you can buy like one basketball for 5, then since he shot 3, that those counted as a play, which doesn't, because he used up since he spent the 10, that would mean that he would have paid an extra 15, meaning that he would have had $25. He would have spent $25 on the game, which he didn't. He spent 20. So that means he was 5 over. So yeah, so I didn't see him the rest of that time. So that's good, I guess. Although I will be honest, he was wearing a white shirt, so I was terrified of anyone walking behind me with a white shirt the rest of that day. Because I was afraid it was him and he was gonna like beat the shit out of me because I didn't give him a prize that he wanted, or that I didn't give him his 20 when he clearly asked for the 10. So the rest of that day I got scared. But there was some other guy who was championing with him that like I was doing my job wrong. I saw him multiple times that day. And the dude came over and he was like, "Hey, do you mind explaining the situation again because I'm genuinely confused?" And I was like, "Okay, here's what happened." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, he's crazy." So yeah, so I'm not in the wrong here. And I did go to lunch. I took my lunch break, or maybe my 10. I can't remember. I think I went on my lunch break, which is 30 minutes. And before I left, or whenever I was leaving, I stopped by Susan and I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry about all that. I shouldn't have gotten you involved, but I didn't want you to have to deal with him." And she goes, "Oh no, it's okay. It's fine. We got that whole situation figured out." But still, like she said she's fine with it. Like she didn't have like a sarcastic tone. She was like, "Oh yeah, you're fine. Like we got it all figured out. You're fine. Don't worry about it." But I still felt bad. I felt worse after I learned she was a minor. I was like, that's worse. It's worse because I'm 20 and I brought a minor into my problems because I should have dealt with them myself. But thankfully, we were both calm in that situation, even though I wanted to drop some hard swear words, like calling him a fucking idiot, some other dumb shit, but I didn't do that because I got too scared at that moment. Thankfully, I didn't cry. Also, I'm autistic and I get emotional, so yeah, I'm surprised I didn't cry. So yeah, so there's that. But then I've had some like nice people. I've seen couples around a lot. There was this one couple. I'm no shit, they played one game, won a small prize, and then came back, or they left, came back a couple minutes later, decided that they wanted the large prize, because they were trying to go for the large prize. Everyone goes for the large prize. And they play, and they win a medium prize, so I'm like, okay, now they're stepping up. So they keep the small prize, and then now they get a medium prize, and then they leave. They come back like an hour or so later, and the dude wins a large prize in that same game for his girlfriend. I'm like, what the hell? He won a small, medium, and a large prize in that game. Now, thankfully, he didn't go to the other games, because I would have been like, what the hell is he doing? But yeah, so that was pretty short. Some couple asked me to take a photo of them for their, because they won something. That was pretty weird. I had one dude get mad at me because of the garage door, which I have no control over. I did warn him about the garage door, and he goes, "Why is it up there?" It's like, because we use these garage doors to signal that that the games are closed. And he goes, "Well, then why is it up there?" It's because the games are open. He goes, "That shouldn't be up there." I'm like, "I know, but I have no control over it." And he just goes, "Or at the very least, basketball shouldn't be here." I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them." And he goes, "That's bullshit. There's a garage door up here messing up my plan. It's messing up my place." Even though I did remind him about it, and he says like, "All of these rides are closed." Even though there were some open. I'm like, I don't work here. I almost said I don't work here. That's a lie. I'm like, I'm not the manager here. If I was, I would say that all these games would be, or all these rides would be open. We wouldn't have a garage door. I'm kidding. We need that garage door. But like, it would be like all of this stuff. And he goes, "Well, that's bullshit. I'm filing a complaint." I was like, "Are you mad at me?" He goes, "No, I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad at this park as a whole." I was like, "Well, good luck with that." And yeah, a lot of these rides are like seasonal, so like sometimes you would get like one ride open in like June and July, but then closed like the rest of the time that the park's open. Um or you get some that are open year round. And yeah, that's pretty much how these theme parks work. And then so another one was I was working at these cabana things. Some guys who don't know cabanas, they're pretty straightforward. I don't know if they're exclusive to this park, but the one that I was working at had them. And essentially all they are is like these little huts that people can buy, really expensive. Like one of them is like $175, and then two of the different cabanas are like $275. But I think the more expensive ones comes with food, while the other one doesn't. Um, and yeah. So with that, and how it works is you just go, and how working this stuff usually does is like people would order food because they're able to, and then they will order food, some drinks. They come with water already, which is Dasani, which I find it funny because I now recently learned that Dasani is awful for you. But whatever, we're a theme park, we're not Disneyland. So um and so so yeah, we give them water already. Three of the different cabanas don't get food, so they just get water and that's it. But like the rest of the 12, there's like 15 cabanas. 13, 14, and 15 don't get anything, but then like the 1 through 12 get food. And those are like the more expensive ones. Those are worth like 275. I don't know. And I think the ones, I think 1 through 7 just get lockers, while the rest just get safes. And the other three don't get anything. They just get privacy, chairs, and water. That's it. but that some of them also come with tubes. I think that's the difference between the 7 different ones and the 4 others, is that the 7s get tubes. I can't remember. I don't know the difference. Doesn't matter. But I guess the other ones get privacy, but you're not allowed to have your privacy because you could be doing drugs, drinking, or fucking. I don't know. So I have never really done cabanas a whole lot. I was behind the counter, but I never really knew how to do the food travel because I wasn't allowed to. I didn't have my food handler card at the time, but now that I have it, I had to do like the food routes. And I was being taught how to do the food routes, but I delivered their water, some of the cabanas, their water first, and then I came back, I got a tray to put the food in. And as I was I was gonna shadow this woman just to see like how it's done and whatnot. And as I was about to do the food, I get stung by a bee. So I couldn't. I just had to deliver the drinks to them. And then as I was about to do the food, and at the part where I usually had to do the food, I just told the supervisor like, "Hey, I got stung by a bee. I need to head to the EMTs or the first aid." So she goes, "Okay, go." Now here's the thing. It's been a while since I got stung by a bee, so I didn't know if I was allergic or not. Thankfully I'm not. But I didn't know I wasn't, so I was just like, "Oh, am I allergic to bees?" And I didn't know that, and I forgot that people could be allergic to bees until I told one of the EMTs. I go, me and the supervisor believe that I got stung by a bee, and he goes, "Are you allergic to bees?" I'm like, "Oh, that's something that can happen to people." So I go, "No, I'm not allergic to bees. I don't know if I told him I don't know if I am. I've been stung by a bee before, but I haven't really caught anything." Keep in mind, I live in Washington State. I have lived here before. So the last time I got stung by a bee was when I was a kid living in Washington State. If you guys are from Washington, kind of put you as to the general area I lived in. This is, by the way, Washington State is like the second state I've lived in the most. Colorado being number 1, which means I've lived in Colorado longer than I've lived in Washington State. So to put it into perspective as to how long I have lived in Washington State, for all you guys who live in like the Tacoma area, who know about all the military bases, then you guys will know about JBLM. JBLM stands for Joint Base Lewis and McChord, meaning at one point it was just Fort Lewis and Fort McChord, I think. I lived in the Fort Lewis area back when it was known as Fort Lewis. So whenever I flew down here for summer one day or one year, I was like, "Oh, we gotta check out Fort Lewis." And my grandma goes, "You mean JBLM?" I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, they changed it to JBLM." I'm like, "Why?" I don't get it. But yeah, so they changed it. But that's how far back I used to live in Washington. It was Fort Lewis, and that's where I got stung for the first time ever. So now that I'm being stung again in Washington, now it's gone full circle. So yeah, so I told the EMT I got stung by a bee. He goes, "Are you allergic?" I said, "No, I don't know. I've been stung by a bee before, and I've never really had any allergic reactions." So he goes, "Okay." He puts something on it to like ease the pain and like reduce the scratching. He says, "I want you to check your arms and chest for swellings every now and then. If you do, you may be going to anaphylaxis, which is bad." And I'm like, "What?" What's gonna happen? Like, I started to freak out because again, I wasn't sure if I was allergic or not. But I told my mom, and she goes, "Thankfully, you're not allergic." So I was like, "Awesome, I'm not allergic. Cool." So yeah, a lot of this stuff was pretty normal. There was one that happened yesterday where I see this group of like this big family, and there was this little kid in the family pulling on her sister's backpack. Now they're like they're pretty close in age. They were little, so I would say like around 8 or 9, I think. Maybe the sister was a bit older, but not by much. I'm 20, my sister's 18, so just So around that age, like age difference, but just younger. So I think the sister may have been like 10 or 11 and the kid was like 8, 8 or 9. Around that, but this kid starts pulling on his sister's backpack for I don't know what. And so the brother starts pulling on his sister's backpack. The sister's like fighting back. Obviously, it's her backpack. He's doing something that she finds annoying. And so as she's pulling it, eventually the backpack slips from his hands and they start saying she says something to him, and I know that because he says you need to stop being such a stupid ass bitch. Like legit said that. Like that's not me adding words. He just says you need to stop being such a stupid ass bitch, and I'm like, this kid is gangster. like I love like dumb shit that kids do, even though I hate kids. And that was like the funniest shit I have seen since working here. Some kid called his sister a stupid ass bitch, which is a lot, which is just about the same as when I was called a dumbass bitch, but I guess it's not as aggressive. Um, so that was funny, but nothing happened to the kid. They just got he's got his like fingers in his face, but he wasn't like yelled at or anything, wasn't hit or anything. Probably because they're in a public place. Um, so yeah, then there's that. And then there was another kid this same day, which was yesterday. Um, this little girl took her big sister's phone. Now there wasn't that much of an age gap like it was with um this other siblings. Like she was like this woman was like in her 20s, and this little girl was maybe in her 10s, around that. So there is a noticeable difference of age group of age jump of an age gap. There we go. So this little girl steals her big sister's phone for something. I'm not sure what. And so she starts counting. She goes 1, 2, and then she just says 1 again. I'm like, does she not know how to count? Does she not know what comes after 3? Um, and then so the kid just like aggressively gives her phone back, and then but before that happens, I guess what kind of like set the sister off to like give her big sister her phone back was she yells at, or she shouts at her friend. The big sister was yelling at her friend, like, "Hey, can you give me your phone so I can call my mom?" And so like, um, the sister just hands her, the little sister just hands her big sister her phone back, and then the big sister says, "You do that again, I'm gonna kill you." I'm like, I couldn't get mad. I hate little kids. I hate kids in general. So I just thought it was funny. And the little girl starts crying. I'm like, that's what you get for stealing her phone. Now, as a 20-year-old, I would sympathize more with adults. But if I was younger, I would have sympathized with the kid. Like, just let the kid have her phone. Just let the kid have your phone. She's not gonna do anything wrong. But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, yeah, I get it. There was actually this one guy who was playing one of the games with their kids. And the dude was really cool. He starts making all these jokes when I'm cracking up. And then I said, as a 20-year-old, I hugely relate to, like if I was younger, I would have related to the kids. But now that, well, like the dude was like making adult, like parent jokes, because he was with his kids. And I said, if I was younger, I would have hated you for saying that. But now that I'm 20, I totally relate as the adults. And he goes, right? And then he does all this stuff. He was really cool. So it's nice to, and I like having those people, because some days I just hate doing my job. I don't want to go, but I have to, because it's what I signed up for. So I got the job. And don't get me wrong, working at a theme park is really fun because you get to see, depending on where you work, you get to see people in the wave pool having a good time. Even though I hate happy people, but still, as long as they keep their distance, that's all that matters. Um, you get to see all these people having fun, and you're just like, well, I want to have fun. But I feel like the thing that makes working at a place like this great is the people who, um, the people the people who make working at a place like this fun is the people you work with. I've never really had, I haven't even had like a single negative experience with anyone. Someone else has. There have been some people who have had negative experiences with other coworkers. I really didn't. I never really just been like, oh, this woman is such a bitch. Like I don't do that. I kind of keep to myself. And I'm nice to, I'm a nice person, so I'm kind of nice. So I'm kind of nice to those people, and in turn they're nice. So yeah. But one last thing before I leave and end this video. There's one more story that is my absolute favorite that I gotta talk about because this involves the theme park, and I was working there. So my schedules on Saturdays was just like I would go around and clean or do whatever the supervisors wanted me to do. That was work related. I say work related because it just sounds like they was gonna make me do something else. No, it was work related. And so when my supervisor says, "Hey, this woman's clocking out. Do you mind taking over for games? Just make sure that it is card only." So I go, "Okay, card only for games." Yeah, a lot of the times, sometimes it would be card only because you're filling in for someone. Maybe you're a person who fills in for people while they go on their breaks, and you're only allowed to do card only because you're using someone else's money. Because you're not technically assigned to that register, so you can't add money. You can only or you can't add like bills to the register. You can only take cards. So that's what happens with a lot of these. So since I was filling in for someone while they was being checked out, as they was clocking out, the rest of the day on Saturday it was just me filling in for games. I knew exactly what to do because I have done this before, obviously. So there was this family who shows up, and this woman for balloon darts, which is like 3 shots for 5. 3 darts for 5. This is the only one that makes the most sense, by the way. Of all of the game's pricings, to my knowledge, balloon darts is the only one that makes sense. You just throw a dart at a balloon, and it's 3 darts, and you get 3 darts for 5, and that's it. If you want to pay with a $10 bill and you want to use up that 10, you get 6 darts. Like that's it. There's no 3 darts for 5 or 12 darts, or no, hold on, 11 darts for, yeah, I guess that's why it would make the most sense. Or it's not like 3 darts for 5 or 4 darts for 10, because we do have 4 darts, although the fourth dart would always go missing. I didn't realize that there was a fourth dart until one of the red ones started showing up. Until there was like 4 red darts, and then all was out of nowhere the fourth green dart showed up. I was like, where the fuck did that go? Anyways, so this woman brings her 3 little kids to play balloon darts. Now there is a rule here, which is that if your kid is under 48 inches, they get a free prize every time. Now, it is none of the prizes on the wall. It is a different prize, which is either a ladybug or an emoji plushie. Some women didn't get the memo on that, and so I told her about the plushies that we sell or that we can give them if they're under 48 inches. And I told her about it. She goes, "Well, can I see them?" And I was like, "Sure." And I held up we get like a ladybug, different colors, and an emoji plushie. And she goes, "I don't want that. I don't want those." And then so they just leave. The dad was fine with it. The dad was cool with it. But the mom was just like, "No, I don't want that." And they just leave. Fine, because you're wasting your time looking at games instead of wanting to play them. But whatever, you know. So this woman goes, "Hey, can I buy 3 darts for 5?" I was like, "All right." And so each kid was gonna throw one dart. This woman had 3 kids with her. Each kid was gonna throw a dart, and I said, just so you know, um, I can do this, but since this is one play, if 3 of them pop a balloon, only one of them gets a prize. And she goes, yeah, that's how that would go. So and she was like, yeah, that's fine, whatever, you know. She wasn't aggressive about it. She was just really nice. And so none of the kids popped the balloon, by the way. Like neither of them did. And so this was gonna show how messed up I am. So as I was grabbing them, the 3 prizes, because they were under 48 inches, they were standing like on the counter, whatnot. Because you're allowed to stand on the counters just as long as you don't go over to the other side, then you can stand on it. And if you stand on it, that means I know you're under 48 inches, and then if you don't get anything, you still get a free toy. So each of the kids throw a dart, and they don't, they don't make it. Now with the ladybug plushie, there were 3 different colors. There's red, there's orange, and then there's blue. Now, at the time, I was going to get a ladybug and like an emoji plushie and then just grab whichever one I saw first. But then as I grabbed a red ladybug and one of the plushies, I noticed that there was an orange and blue ladybug plushie. So I grabbed one of each colors. So I grabbed one red, one orange, and one blue. And I told the parents, I said, I like to wreak a little havoc a bit, so I apologize in advance. And she goes, what are you going to do? And so, and the woman was kind about this, by the way. She wasn't like all angry about it. I got the 3 ladybugs and I placed them down. I didn't assign them to anyone. I just placed it down and let the kids grab one. And so I turn around because one of the kids had like gotten the dart stuck on the board. And so I turned around and I went to pull up the dart down and put it where we usually have it. And I turn around and I see that all of the kids have the toys, but one of them is upset because one of the kids got the blue one, which is what the other kid who was crying was wanting. And then I was like, this is why I work here. Seeing kids angry and sad and whatnot, this is why I work here. This is why I'm glad to be working here. Because you gotta if you're not having a good time working at a place, working somewhere, then you gotta make it fun somehow. And this was fun for me. Someone who works here is gonna see this and be like, yeah, he's not coming back. Well, that's a risk I'm willing to take. Yeah, so if any of you guys who are thinking of working, if there is a theme park nearby that is open, do take that job. It is so fun to work at a theme park. Because imagine like you've been going to one. This is a theme park that I used to go to as a kid. I would go and do the wave pool. I would do some of the rides. I would go to the water areas. I would do all this stuff. And it's just fun to do. So, yeah, I highly advise that if you know of a theme park that is nearby to you and they're hiring, do take it. But do know your limitations. I did almost pass out while working there once. I do overwork myself, so kind of having a job like this was a bit much for me to handle because I do overwork myself. And I'm one of those people where like I feel like if you tell me where something is and I don't find it, I'll just make the job harder on myself because I don't want to have to go back and ask, because I feel like since you told me, I should know where it is. And that's the best part about working with people who are nice, was they end up feeling bad for you because of the fact that you didn't want to go over there and tell them or ask them where it was. And yeah, and it's really cool to see like the behind the scenes of everything. There have been a couple times where like people have like tried to like sneak games. they've never really snuck prizes, but they have snuck a game. Obviously, with basketball, a lot of people love basketball. So like people would see like a deflated basketball, and then they would shoot it, and then they would miss. I have caught one person trying to sneak a game. I was like, no, you can't do that. I have seen people like ask if they can play like a free shot, like a free shot at basketball, a free throw on darts, just like. And I always tell them like you can, just as long as you understand that you won't get a prize. Some people have been like, yeah, I know. I've had people. And before you ask, some people may be wondering like, has this happened before? Yes, there have been people who have tried to buy the toys and not the games. Some people are like, well, how much for the like big narwhal? We sell narwhals here. Well, not anymore since it's closed. But they would ask like, so what about the narwhal? How much is that? And I'm like, oh, that's you have to like make all three. And they go, no, how much money? I'm like, none. Like you can't buy it. And they go, what? Why can't I buy it? I'm like, well, because that ruins the point of having these things. This is a game, not a store. you can't just go over there. You can't just come over here and be like, yo, I like to buy that dolphin. Like, no, you can't do that. And there weren't that many Karens. The only Karen I could think of was that like I mentioned before, that one woman who wasn't happy about like the free toys that kids get if they don't make it and they're under 48 inches. That's the only Karen I've dealt with. I've never really dealt with like selfish moms or dads. I've dealt with selfish people, but not selfish moms or dads. I think of all the cool people, I think the dads have been the most cool because they're not as protective of their kids as they are with. Well, I guess it's been split. I've dealt with an angry dad and an angry mom, but I've never dealt with like, I just feel like moms are a bit more. But I feel like the reason there are the moms are a bit like worse to deal with is because they're very protective of the kids. Not to say the dads aren't, but both parents could be like protective of the kids, but maybe the mom has like the upper hand because they've had this kid in them for like 9 months and then they've had to do all the hard work. So it's like, this is my kid. Like, they're very protective of their kid, which is fine. But I just feel like with something like this, especially at a place where you spend money and you get nothing in return, or you risk getting nothing in return, it could be a bit much for parents. And I will say there was one thing I did mention whenever I first started working here, or whenever I started working at this theme park, was I said working at a place like this, it's like a fat kid working in a candy store. You can look, but you can't touch. And I kind of used another example of like, it's like a sex addicted person working at a brothel. You can look, but you just cannot touch. And the next thing you know, I ended up working at a candy store. So now I am a fat kid working at a candy store. Not what I meant when I said that metaphor. It was just a joke. So there's that. I have been caught sitting multiple times. I'm not supposed to. I have been caught by supervisors, but as long as it's not like the head honchos, it's fine. They haven't really told me that I was gonna get in trouble for it. They just told me like, hey, you cannot, for the life of you cannot sit down. So there's that. And also, speaking of which, working at a place like this, I learned that Charlie's and Haribo have like the most candies ever. Most gummy candies ever. I think Charlie has the most at 20. There were 20 different gummy flavors. None of which, but this theme park didn't have all of them. If they did, it would be a fucking nightmare to deal with. But yeah, so they have a lot of stuff. And also, Icy has a flavor called Blue Cotton Candy. That is my sole recommendation. If you see it, if there is an Icy machine and they have Blue Cotton Candy, if you're like about cotton candy but you don't know what to pick, just go with the cotton candy. Trust me, it is the best thing I have ever put in my mouth. Probably since lasagna. I was gonna make an inappropriate joke, but there was nothing I could make. But yeah, blue cotton candy ices. It's the best thing I've put in my mouth since lasagna. It is amazing. So yeah. And that's it. Also, theme park food, not the best, but not the worst. There have been two occasions where I've actually gotten theme park food. One was I forgot to pack lunch because I was supposed to do a 4 hour shift, so I didn't pack lunch. But then my supervisor's like, I want you working games. So my 4 hour shift turned into a 6 hour shift, which means I get two breaks, a 10-minute break and a 30-minute break. 30-minute breaks are lunch times. So thankfully, I had my wallet on me. I just paid. I activated my card. And then so I just bought something from there. I bought chicken sandwich because I love chicken sandwiches. They didn't have spicy chicken sandwiches. That was disappointing. And then the second time was yesterday when they offered free food for people who work there. So I got free food. Um, so yeah. Um, so yeah, theme park food not the best, but it's not the worst. So yeah, these are some stories of my adventures working at a theme park. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below. I may have more, but I don't know of any. At the moment, there's probably one or two really good ones I forgot about. Um, so yeah, leave a comment down below of any funny or weird work experiences you may have. I'd love to know because I love talking about work with people, especially now that I have a job. Um, and yeah, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And if you do hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification to be notified as to when I upload because I do not have a schedule. Obviously, my last video was like 3 weeks ago, so I'm a bit behind. Losomanic out.